and she decides to screw up the lives of two best friends who can't stop simping over her. The one friend is a loser with no goals or ambition in life, and the other's a cuckold. Hey everyone, welcome to Chris Reacts, where we react to the world around us one video at a time. Get ready, as we're about to react to a movie that may have just destroyed the career of Zendaya. But remember, it may say Chris Reacts on the channel, but the most important reaction is yours. So make sure to like and subscribe to not miss out on any future videos, and make sure you leave your reaction, the most important reaction by the way, down in the comments below. Now, let's get to it. The movie that we're going to be reacting to today is the movie Challenger, starring Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, and Mike Faist. If you haven't seen this movie yet and you don't want to be spoiled, there may be some spoilers, so you may want to wait to watch this until you've seen the movie. If not, and you don't care about spoilers, we're going to get right into it. So I watched the trailers for this movie and I thought it was going to be really good. And as I approached going to watch the movie, I was able to see some of the reactions to it. The critics gave it an 89%. The audience gave it a 74%. So it was getting really good reviews. So between that and me liking the trailers, I thought this was going to be a really good movie. And then I went and saw it. The movie was really bad. Like, I left the theater saying that was pretty much a waste of time. There wasn't much good about the movie. The plot was bad. The acting was okay at times, but there were some bad actor choices in the movie. It was just bad all the way around. It wasn't believable. It just didn't make sense. And if I had to give my review of Challengers, this is what it would be. I would say it's a bad woman whose career went off the rails, and she decides to screw up the lives of two best friends who can't stop simping over her. The one friend is a loser with no goals or ambition in life, and the other's a cuckold. In a world full of tennis, there is very little to be found in this incoherent mess that borders on a bad soap opera plotline. So as you can see by my review, I didn't think very highly of it whatsoever. The first thing that bothered me is this in the plot was that it jumps all over the place. The movie has two different timelines. There's a timeline of 10 to 15 years in the past, and then there's a timeline of the present, which is a 2-week period that kind of jumps back and forth in that 2-week period as the movie goes along. And because it keeps bouncing back and forth and all over, it really keeps, it's hard to keep track of where the movie's at and in what position, and you kind of just get lost in the mess of the timeline. The second thing is, for a movie about a love triangle, there is very little development of either relationship. The movie kind of starts and you have both these best friends who are super buddy-buddy. They like each other. They've been friends since they were little kids, and they see Zendaya's character and they start simping hard over her. And they both want her, and it ends up that she starts out being with one of the characters, and there's no development in their little love story. They're just starting to date, and then you don't see much of that. Then they're done dating. They had a fallout. Then a little bit later, they come back and she's just with the other guy now. And there's no development of that either. Where they're just there. There's no, they don't get you involved in these relationships. They don't get you to invest in these relationships. Like, I think back on a movie that I am afraid to admit that I've seen and embarrassed a little bit was Twilight. And in Twilight you had Team Edward and Team Jacob. Like, they made you invest in these characters and these relationships in that little love triangle type thing there. But there's none of that going on here. There's no one coming out of this movie going, well, she should have been with guy A or she should have been with guy B. You're going to come out of there being like, why were any of them together in the first place at all? Like, it just didn't make any sense why they even got together or anything. It was just bad. The whole plot is pretty bad. With them bouncing back and forth, they did a bad job of connecting the past to the present. And there was one plot point though where they set up earlier in the movie, that they reference at the end of the movie. And if it wasn't for this one plot point, which I was in the theater and I was trying to not scream it because I didn't want to interrupt the people around me, but I'm like, you have to make this callback to the scene early in the movie. You have to make the callback. You have to make the callback. And they finally made the callback. And if it wasn't for this callback to the beginning or earlier in the movie, then this movie would have been a 0 out of 5 because none of it would have made sense at all whatsoever. There's one plot point that they recalled later in the movie that they referenced earlier. It was the only reason that it's going to get the score that I gave it today. The acting in this movie, for the most part, was okay. It wasn't bad. The writers didn't do these actors any favors with the poor script, but they did their best for what they had. My only critique in the acting is that I believe Zendaya was miscast. I half-heartedly joked about this ruining her career, but it's definitely not a good look for her. I just don't think that she is believable as an athlete, let alone an elite athlete that she portrays in this movie. Some actors, they make you believe the character that they are portraying, and no matter how unbelievable it seems or how ludicrous that it may seem of the character that they're portraying, they do a really good job to get you to invest in the character and to make you believe as the audience that they are that character and they're not just somebody trying to portray that character. And that's just not how I felt that Zendaya did. It just felt like she was trying to portray somebody and she was doing a very good job of it. Like a good example of an actor who did a great job at this was Sean Connery. I know I'm probably dating myself a little bit, but if you know Sean Connery and if you've seen his movie, The Hunt for Red October, you would know that Sean Connery plays a Russian sub-commander in this movie. Now, the interesting thing is, Sean Connery is a very Scottish actor. He has a very thick Scottish accent, and in this movie, he does zero effort in trying to act like he's Russian. He's a Russian sub-commander that speaks like a thick Scottish accent. But the thing is, he gets you so invested into that character, he makes you believe that he's that character so much that you just were like, okay, I believe it. Sure, he's a Russian sub-commander that speaks in a thick Scottish accent. Because he made you believe that he was that character. He wasn't just acting that character, he made you believe he was that character. And that's the thing that I don't think Zendaya did in this. And I don't know if it was the fact that she's never done a role like this before, or if this just isn't the type of role that she should be cast in, or maybe she's just not that good of an actress. Maybe she's just an average and okay actress, and that's perfectly fine. But there was just something off and a miss on it, and it just, in my opinion, it wasn't a good look for her. The camera work in this movie was really bad too. When there was tennis on the screen, they did a terrible job portraying it. They had some really weird and crazy camera angles, and I liked the ingenuity that what they were trying to do, but it wasn't good. It didn't work. I could see some people getting motion sickness, or maybe some people, if they have epilepsy, getting some type of an epileptic seizure because of the way the camera works and the way it was just jumping all over the screen in a very quick and fast manner. And it just wasn't good, and it kind of took you out of those scenes. Like, I was kind of looking forward to seeing tennis scenes. I'm a big tennis person, and I like to just see that portrayed on the screen. And I just think the way that they filmed those scenes took you out of them, and they might as well have not even had tennis in the movie because of it, because they just made it that bad. So I'm going to give you my score for this movie, and this movie score I'm going to give is a 1.5 out of 5. It's pretty bad. It's probably one of the worst movies that I've seen in quite some time. I can't remember giving a movie this bad of a score in a while. I've seen quite a few movies. I see movies almost on the weekly, and this is probably the worst movie that I've seen and reviewed in over a year, if not maybe 2 years. Like it was that bad. I was highly disappointed. I just was really bummed out because I was something that I was really looking forward to. So make sure you let me know down in the comments what you thought if you saw the movie. Give me your opinions because your opinions are important. So thanks for joining me today on Chris Reacts. But remember, your reaction is the most important one. So make sure you leave it down in the comments below and like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss our next episode of Chris Reacts. Till next time, see ya.